What is up, everybody, and how's it going? I'm Alex Goldstick, and you are listening to the Spring Forward Podcast. This episode is coming to you live from the Spring League Las Vegas, where we're nearing the end of the first camp of 2020. By the time this episode comes out, the Spring League will likely be in the middle of the second and final game day of the Las Vegas camp, where a new team, the Las Vegas Hues, was introduced. The Hues are quarterbacked by today's podcast guest, Zach Mettenberger. Zach was also with the Spring League 2 weeks ago in the Dallas area as the Spring League took on its first ever outside opponent in the Japanese national team. The Spring League prevailed by a score of 36-16 in a game played at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, better known as the Dallas Cowboys practice facility. The game was fun and entertaining, and we all hope that it can be used as a jumping-off point for American football in Japan. Now, let's head to our interview with Zach Mettenberger. Zach Mettenberger is a 6'5" quarterback originally from Georgia. He's perhaps best known as the former starter for LSU and then the Tennessee Titans. We are taping this interview live from the Spring League Las Vegas, where Zach is currently in his second camp with the Spring League. Zach, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me on the pod, Alex.
You're originally from an SEC college town, the Athens, Georgia area. So this might be a question with a very obvious answer, but where does your love of football originate from?
My mom was the football secretary for the University of Georgia for 20-some-odd years, and I essentially got to the opportunity to, be raised in the football office. So I was around football at a very young age, and it kind of helped mold my love and passion for the sport.
You did go to UGA where you were born for a year, and we don't need to get into how that ended, but what's it like for a hometown kid to get the chance to be part of the UGA football program?
I went in with a guy who was high recruit, so it wasn't the greatest experience for me. Just because everyone else wanted the 5-star guy to be the quarterback, so it wasn't that great. But it's very cool being able to be 5 minutes from home and be in school. So it was cool to be able to stay close to family. But I always I was always looking to go somewhere else, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise, everything that happened.
I don't think many people know, at least I didn't anyway. You came into the national consciousness when you were at LSU, but you actually spent a year in Kansas at Butler Community College when you were moving from Georgia to LSU. And you led the team there that season to an 11-1 record and the JUCO national championship game. So looking back from where you are now, what did Butler in that season do for your football career?
It got me a chance to just kind of sit back and reflect on what was important in life at that time. And, I got to focus on football and school, just being out in the middle of nowhere. And, it really was a great time in my life to be able to just go out there and throw the football around. And we were really good. And, Kansas JUCO football is definitely a way of life. And it was really a great experience, and I'm glad that I got to do that.
Well, and so now LSU. I mean, I think you became a household name, at least to sports fans anyway, while you were there. And so what goes through the mind of an Athens kid playing for the Tigers?
Honestly, I made the transition easy. You go down there and you just kind of witness the culture down in South Louisiana, and, they embrace you like one of their own. So I always felt very safe and secure with the LSU family. And, I enjoyed my time there, and wouldn't change it for the world.
We'll take a little detour, but where were you and what did you do for the national championship this year?
Yeah, we were in Nashville. My wife and I had a group of friends over for the game, and we had some beers and watched that. And we were happy at the end of the night. That's for sure.
Now, I think you lived every quarterback's dream, not only captaining an SEC powerhouse, but throwing to receivers like Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Did you know at the time what kind of talent you had in those two guys and where they're at now?
Yeah, I for sure did. And when you're with them every day, you kind of take that for granted. But we had a coach, Cam Cameron, who was at LSU my senior year, and he had spent a lot of time in the league. And from day one when he was at practice, he said those two guys are as good as anyone he's ever coached in the NFL. And, they've lived up to that and much more. And, I was very lucky to be able to, have those two guys to throw to.
Now, in your 2 years as LSU starter, you went 19-6 and were the first Tigers quarterback to throw for over 2,500 yards in back-to-back seasons. So I'd say that's a pretty healthy bounce back from where your college career started at UGA. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely had a good opportunity to play there, and wish I could have made more of it and lost fewer games. But yeah, it was a great experience to be kind of the quarterback on campus, and just how that whole culture down there with football is. And like I said, I wish I could have had more, and obviously being in the offense they have now would have been great. But yeah, we did really well with what we did, and that was run the ball and then throw it to our good playmakers out there, Odell and Jarvis.
NFL Draft 2014, you were a 6th-round pick of the Titans. What do you remember about draft day and getting that call?
I was sitting on the boat dock in Alabama with my aunt and uncles when I got the call, and it's just everything you dream of as a kid, and to get that call to know that you're going to be playing in the NFL, or at least have the opportunity to play in the NFL, is a lifelong accomplishment, and really special memory.
So you get to Nashville. The Titans had a crowded quarterback room in your rookie year with yourself, Charlie Whitehurst, and Jake Locker. But by October, you were named the starter. Do you have a moment in the middle of the season to look around and think to yourself, like, wow, I'm an NFL starter now? Does that not even compare to an SEC starter?
I mean, yeah, it's one of 32. I mean, that's how you think of it. I mean, that's the smallest elite group of athletes in the world, in my opinion. And, it's a big accomplishment to be named a starter and to be a starter in the NFL team. And, I mean, I put myself in a position to where the coaching staff trusted me to go ahead and, start halfway through the season as a 6th-round guy. That doesn't really happen. And, I tried to make the most of it, but obviously fell short in all my attempts to win a game. And, it was tough, but, you grow and learn from that. And it was obviously a good enough experience that I still stay there and live in Nashville now. So, yeah.
And it's an interesting time to be talking about the Titans quarterback situation, is they're kind of in flux right now, even in conversations for Tom Brady. Your second season, the Titans drafted Mariota with the 2nd overall pick. You still played in 7 games and started 4 of them that year due to injuries to Marcus. But how did your second season with the Titans compare to the first, when you didn't have the high profile draft pick in the room?
It was the same. Marcus was a great guy to go into work with every day. As Jake and Charlie the year before. So we had a good group, and when you have guys in the room that you can work with and work together, it makes it a joy to go into work every day and compete with guys like that. But the transition was pretty much the same. I had a job, and that was to back Marcus up and be ready for anything that could happen. And again, had my opportunities to win some games and didn't make the most of it.
After the Titans, you were inside 2 other NFL organizations during the 2016 season, the Chargers during the offseason and the Steelers during the season. What sort of knowledge do you gain from seeing inside multiple organizations in that short amount of time, having to learn playbooks that often and that quickly?
The football part was always the easiest. X's and O's always kind of came easy to me. But it is interesting seeing how different organizations operate. You really see firsthand that it starts from the top with every one of these organizations, and seeing a team like Tennessee and San Diego at the time, the Chargers, compared to when I was in Pittsburgh, it was a huge difference to how they ran the teams, and obviously it relates to the success that those 2 teams have had. So it was very not the best experience, because you want to stay somewhere, just one place for your whole career, but no, it was a very cool experience to kind of see how different organizations operate.
If I remember correctly, you were a late addition to the Spring League 2018 in Austin. How did you find out about the Spring League and ultimately apply and then get accepted to play in it?
Johnny got on board, actually, and then I talked to my agent, and we were able to get on late to do the Spring League, and it was a great experience. Austin was an awesome place to spend the couple weeks we were there. To compete against a guy like Johnny was, every day was a great experience in itself, just to see a guy who, operated at such a high level in college, to kind of see how he went in and day out with his stuff. but yeah, it was just really a fun experience. So when this time came around, I had the opportunity. I jumped on it quick because I knew that Brian runs a pretty good organization with this the spring league, and like I said, any opportunity to play football is special.
Now, it seems to be the story with your pro career. You signed with the Memphis Express of the AAF in 2019 and quickly worked your way into the starter role. Unfortunately, your season was cut short by an ankle injury before the league's stopped operations. But looking back, how do you view that league and that opportunity given the unfortunate downfall that we know about now?
Any opportunity for me to play football is something I'm going to take advantage of. You're not really, a guy in my position is not guaranteed to touch the football field too many more times. So, like I said, anytime there's an excuse to get out there and throw the football to some guys in pads, I'm going to jump on that. And the AAF was a interesting experience. We weren't a very, very good team in that league. And, Memphis, we had some adversity just meeting every day. But like I said, it was an opportunity to play football, and I tried to make the most of that.
So you just mentioned it, but you returned to the Spring League 2 weeks ago for the league's first ever game against a non-Spring League opponent, which was the Japanese national team. Did you have any idea before that this level of interest in American football existed in Japan?
I did not. I figured, just because there's so many people over there was probably some popularity with the sport. But now, in hindsight, I understand that it's much bigger than anything I could have guessed. But it was awesome time to be able to go out there and compete against guys from such a different background and culture from us, and just see how disciplined and organized they were. Things you would expect from a Japanese team, and like I said, it was a great experience to go out there and compete against guys from a different culture, and kind of see that differences in people aren't so different when you get out on the football field.
As someone who's been to the top of the football mountain, how did you see their play and their players kind of stack up?
They're always in the right zone. Their eyes are always on the right guy. They're just going to get beat sometimes, just not having the athleticism. But from a organizational standpoint and structure standpoint, those guys were as disciplined and made as a few mistakes as you could want as a defensive coach.
Now, you're, dare I say, Brady-esque in your red zone quarterback sneak ability. In both Austin and Dallas, and I believe also with Memphis, you had keepers for TDs and in very short periods of time. Is this just a field position coincidence, or do you enjoy the contact and challenge of doing it yourself?
Literally just falling into success is what QB sneak is.
That's what a QB sneak is.
And I've been real lucky the last few times I've carried the ball, but at the same time, I don't have to go very far.
Perhaps this isn't a surprise for an NFL-level quarterback, but I see you on the field, and you're not only able to process information incredibly quickly, but you've embraced the role of helping other guys at other positions realize their potential, which is obviously very important at the Spring League. Do you see coaching in your future whenever that day comes, or hopefully that's no time soon?
We'll see. I mean, I know I want football in my life in some form. Don't know if it's going to be coaching, playing, or what, but we'll see. I just enjoy the game so much and enjoy, being able to, give what little information I know about the game to guys who are a bit younger than me, and it's something that I always looked forward to, was to get help from other people who had experienced it a little bit more, and really that's what I'm just trying to do, is just kind of help these guys, just get a little bit better just on a, mental side of things.
In your first Spring League game day of the Las Vegas camp, which was last Saturday, your Las Vegas Hues were undefeated with a 2-0 record on the day with a very interesting kind of game format. Counting the Japan game, this was your first 2 games back from your ankle injury in Memphis. So where does your health stand as of today, and how are you feeling?
My ankle's fine. I'm a year out of surgery, and have been doing well with that for the last few months. Some days are better than others, but yeah, I'm feeling good.
Now, last question. I said before we started recording, your wife's actually in the room, and I think this is the first live podcast we've ever done. But between meeting you in 2018 and seeing you again here in 2020, you're married and you're actually expecting your first son. So how does that affect your play on the field? Does it make you does being a different person make you a different player?
Not necessarily. I don't know. I mean, it's I still operate the same that I would if I didn't have a pregnant wife. I don't think that's ever going to change. But off the field for sure. It's a whirlwind and life moves fast.
Well, you've got a meeting to go to. We got this interview done just in time, and I wanted to put on the official record, thank you for the Waffle House in Dallas.
You're welcome, Goldenrod.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of Spring Forward. My thanks to Zach for sitting down with me, and of course for being the marquee player in Dallas and Las Vegas for the Spring League. You can follow the Spring League on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Spring League. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Alex Goldstick. All music was provided to the Spring Forward podcast by Joshua Rosner. Until next time, later.